I didn't mean to interrupt you. I just connected with you on LinkedIn. Yes, I saw. Because I didn't know you were working on Akamai. You know Ramana? IR? Ramana's IR is in Akamai Labs. Don't you know what? Anyway, Akamai invested in our company.
Oh, okay.
It's, the Akamai Labs is the investment corporate.
Gotcha.
Yep. Hello. Thank you again for organizing this. This year. That's it. So still.
When was your first time? Did you look familiar?
Prague.
Oh, you were in Prague.
Yeah, I was in. Anyway,
Do you know Noah Baker?
yes, I know. Yeah.
Okay. Because he's unfortunately in a very similar area.
I know.
Okay,
I know.
okay.
He came to my SAT meeting last time. We talked a little bit, and I know he's going to be here this time. So, but yes, you should know. I mean, it's very different. What we do is very different. He has a math mesh. Yes, we have the mesh mesh, which is a cryptographic mesh. Also, so that you are a photographer, or that you dabble with it. You're an expert in photography. Let's put it this way. You may not consider yourself a photographer. I know that it's a very specific skill set that most people are.
Yeah, there's a lot of
It's just like
people in me involved in
I
that
was
stuff.
about to say.
The other way.
Let's put it this way.
I know when I
We
don't
just
go, that makes me smarter than most other people.
yeah, I'm an engineer who likes photography, but what can be done with it? So, but yeah. So anyway, just want to introduce myself for you. There's a couple of I don't know if you know what we're doing, but you might be interested.
I remember, I think it was at the Prague, I just looked at your website.
It's the website. We don't put a lot of stuff on there. We automate decentralized photography between software agents that run in confidential computing machines. You're familiar with confidential computing? Intel SGX?
Yes, SGX or
Exactly, and SCV and stuff like that. We use SGX right now. So we built a network of confidential computing machines that looks very much like the DNS, but we call it the universal name system. Because any entity, person or non-person entity, can have its own identifier, its own keychain, and then we automate cryptography between any two entities at internet scale. So, yeah, I thought you would. It might resonate a little bit.
Yeah, I think I was put off last time because like you needed too much information before you get your white paper. Let me out.
Oh,
Accept the link and we'll.
yeah, I will absolutely send it to you. Yeah.
Okay. Hopefully we can speak for you.
Yeah, I mean, this is a great place to be, and you know, I just don't know exactly yet how to interpret.
Sure, no.
I'm learning. Take care. You want to see you later.
Hey, don't leave me yet.
Yeah.
I'm just making sure I get the customer. I did. I'm not. We're just gonna do the customs. Oh, wait.
You should.
So now when you can go back and say.
People were confused. All right, so here,
Yeah. So you can log into me.
yeah, no, I'll just.
I thought they were going to use the testing room, but actually, I'm not even sure for the testing room either. So,
Hold on 1 second.
All right. See you all.
See you next.
thanks for having me. Yeah.
Surprisingly, no question. Usually there's almost a couple.
Well, there were a few during the
Yeah, during the thing. Right? And that little, it's great.
Can I just share my screen? Well, I think you still need to share. Because things like executive.
So, I'm gonna actually just jump on and start talking. Cancel share. I want to cancel share. Okay, yeah, because if I share.
Hi there. So, yeah.
Because I actually have controls. If you want to talk, you can do your script. Your script monkey. Oh, that would be. That's too good. I think it's Karen. I'm gonna pull up my script that I use just to help guide me.
Okay, sorry about that. I'm back. So we've never done this Meet Echo test session live here at the IETF before for new participants. So it's a little bit of an experiment. Just to show of hands, did anybody join the Meet Echo test session prior to the meeting last week? Anybody? No? Okay, cool. So if you can, yeah, this is going to happen where you see like screen after screen after screen after screen because we're mirroring Karen's screen over here. But if you can log into Meet Echo using the full client, if you have it available, you can follow along there. Do we have anybody who's only logging in just with their phone? Okay. Okay, so the buttons are going to be a little bit different on the phone, but we'll make sure before you leave this room that it's all working. So just a couple things to point out. Oh, this is fun. I'm just gonna leave my laptop over here. We're gonna just give this a try here. So again, this is meant to be very informal sessions, just kind of work through to make sure that you can use all the buttons. Recently, from IETF 118 to 119, they just made just a few changes to the Meet Echo tooling. Prior to that, they did a complete overhaul. So from last meeting to this meeting, it hasn't changed that much. So I don't think we need to review any major changes. Before we go completely into the session, though, I want to point out a couple things if you haven't done it already. So you can see this panel over here. This is the chat room. And the way that you would get to that, opening it, because it doesn't always open when you first open Meet Echo. If you see the little double bubble up there where it says chat, if you click on that, then you're going to have this panel open on the left-hand side. And when you're in working group sessions, you're just going to see this going crazy. Usually people are chatting away and making comments about whatever they're talking about in the working group. So that's a really good thing to open right away. The second thing is, if you look up here on the top right-hand corner, you see the blue emoji with the number 25. If that doesn't open right away when you open the client, click on that. And you're going to see on the right-hand side here, this is all the participants of the meeting. It's broken up into two categories. So at the very top, you're going to see it'll say chairs. So in this case, Karen is acting as the EODIR chair. So that's why her name is up there in that category. And everybody else is showing up as participants. So those are just two things you probably want to do right away when you open up the Meet Echo client. Usually when you when a session starts, usually the working group chairs will probably do a quick introduction and they'll let you know what's happening in the agenda, do some housekeeping similar to what we did at the start of this session. You'll usually see the table up here where you're going to see the two chairs. Sometimes you'll see an overview of the whole room. And then, of course, the meeting materials slides over there. So let's start with looking at the most commonly used buttons. So the first one is if you look at the bottom middle of your screen right here, you're going to see the microphone and the camera and this hand over here. So microphone's going to be your audio, then you've got your video, and then this little hand is to enter the queue. Generally, if you're in a Meet Echo session, you want to be muted and you want to have your video off unless you're actually speaking. Obviously, if you're in the room, you don't have to worry about that. You just keep everything muted. Yes, sir.
The mic or the camera. I see the speaker, but that's also not. I have a hand raise.
So if you're in the Meet Echo Lite version, you may not be seeing these two right here because you're in the room. So if you're in the room and you want to ask a question, enter the queue, you're going to press this button right here, and feel free to try it. It's not going to hurt anything. Go ahead and you can press this button, and what you're going to see over here on the right-hand side is you're going to see your name enter the queue, and there's a number next to it, and that's just the order that you are in the queue. So, if somebody gets up to the mic and asks a question, it's the same question you wanted to ask, you can just take yourself out of the queue. But feel free to practice, put yourself in the queue, but that's how you do it. And then when you go to the microphone, physically in the room, or if you are remote, once you start speaking, again, as we said in the previous session, you want to speak slowly, you want to speak clearly, you want to say your name, you can say your affiliation, just to identify yourself to the room as far as who's speaking.
So what is the difference between the hand raise and the next one icon?
I'll get to that. Yeah, so right here, this little green button right here, and it's green right now because on Karen's computer, she's sharing this right here. But that's for sharing slides. The next one over, if you hover over that, that's the share slides. The one to the left, can you hover over that one? Is that meeting materials? The green one? Do you have a green one in yours? Stop sharing screen. That's screen share, and then there's share slides. So when you're presenting at a working group, you would generally coordinate with the working group chair ahead of time and send them slides, and it would be part of the meeting materials, so they'll have that all loaded ahead of time. So in the future, if you're speaking, do we have anybody speaking at a working group in here? Presenting slides? Yeah? Oh, many years ago you did. Okay. Things have changed maybe a little bit. Well, in the future, if you're going to present slides in a working group, that's what you'll want to do is arrange that ahead of time with the working group chair. They'll let you know how much time you have and maybe what order, but you'll want to send them the slides ahead of time so they can include it in the meeting materials. So
I put myself in the queue, but
Karen's in the good. Yes.
So this is an example of being in the queue and actually asking something. So proper queue etiquette. I'm Karen O'Donohue. I wanted to point out two things. One was that if you participate in any of the virtual interim meetings for the IETF, you'll be using this tool at home. So we're talking to you here today as in-person participants, but a number of these things like the microphone and the camera, those are for those of you who are in person, that's not terribly useful this week. For those of you who are remote, then it is useful for you this week, and it will be useful going forward in any virtual interim meetings that we have.
Yeah, definitely. The buttons that we're going over right now might be more useful after you leave, especially if you're using that light client. We're going to take a look at a couple of the other buttons. If you look at the top bar up there, so just to the right of the chat button, we mentioned this in the earlier session that there's a show of hands tool that looks mysteriously like voting, but it's not. So what the chair could do is they may just have a simple question of, have you read this draft? Maybe they want to know, have people even looked at this? So what happens is the chair will put in a question and they'll start the show of hands. And then on your client, it'll give you choices of, have you read this draft? Or no, I haven't. And it'll give live updates on what the answers are. So this really helps when you've got people in the room and you also have people who are remote, so you can kind of get a sense of both places. So feel free, if you're in the room right now, go ahead and just pick whether or not you've read the document or you have no opinion. You're able to practice, and then here's those live results right here. So that's something that a working group chair could use while you're in a session. Next, to the right of that, is that me? I don't know.
Yeah, hey Michelle. Hi, this is Sriram here. Are you able to hear me?
Yes.
Yes, sure.
Perfect. So thank you. So once I'm in the queue, so will it be the chairs who will call me or give me a chance to speak? Who will do that?
Yes, actually, the responsibility of the chair of the session is to manage the queue. My apologies, I thought you were just testing. I didn't realize you really wanted to speak. But
No
generally,
problem.
you get in the queue and then the chair will call on you.
Yes. Perfect. Yeah. Thank you.
You're welcome.
Okay, so to the right of the show of hands tools, you'll see a little folding map. That is the event map. And so if you were to click on that, during an IETF meeting, you'll see all the different session rooms that are available there. So let's say you enter a Meet Echo room and you quickly learn, I'm in the wrong place. You can click on there and it'll take you to another session. During those in-between meeting times, you won't really see anything there. I think it says IETF hallway for most of the time in between. So it's not really useful except during an actual meeting. In the middle of that tab, you see the recording button because we record the sessions. You also see the name of the working group. So in this case, this is under the EODIR working group, but you'll see different acronyms up there for whichever session you're in. Just to the right of the name of the working group, you see the little pen and or pencil and paper. That's the note-taking tool. So that's integrated into the data tracker. Everybody can use that note-taking tool. Everybody can see the document where the notes are being taken. It's a shared document. Often you'll hear at the beginning of a working group, the chair will ask if somebody can do note-taking. That's a good way to get very, very familiar with the working group because you're listening very intently on what's being said. But that's what that button is for. CC, in the US and some other countries, CC stands for closed captioning, and that's for transcription services. I don't think we have transcription services for this session, but we will for all of the regular working group sessions. There's live transcription services. It's not perfect, but it is pretty good. And then the last button over there, we already went over that. That's the list of participants. I'm gonna pause here, see if anybody has any questions. Does everything look good on your client that you're staring at right now?
We will see all the camera only when we are.
So you're in the, I'm pretty sure you're in the Meet Echo Lite client. And there's no, I don't think on the Meet Echo client you can see the videos, right?
No, the point of the Lite client is really if you're in the room. So it's not going to show you anything that's on the screen. It's just going to
raise hand and all that.
right.
Yeah,
it's just
joining the queue. Yep.
Yeah, it's about joining the queue, and it's about
When you are in the room, you don't need that.
Right. But if you're somewhere else and you want to join the full client, you're going to see the cameras and you're going to see the full, yeah, you'll see the full client there and all the buttons. Just a couple things to point out, and oh, do you know what's happening up there, Karen? Shiva? Oh, hi, Shiva. So, I'm sorry? Okay. Okay. Oh, this is a good session to be in then, learning. So what did you press? What's it showing on your screen, Karen?
So that black is me, and I'm not sure why.
Oh.
So I'm going to stop sharing and then start sharing again.
You know, technology, you kind of just figure it out as you go.
And we are the people, supposed to be the people who should be master of.
Is it still not showing?
Yeah, keep talking.
Okay. So we'll wait for it to come up, but there are a couple other little buttons on the bottom. Oh, see? There's sometimes it depends on your role. Sometimes only chairs see it, but you might see these 3 dots. There's some extra permissions that chairs have that participants don't have, like locking the queue. Maybe there's not enough time in the session and there's a line of people at the microphone, so they have to cut the queue and don't allow any more people to enter. So that's something the chairs do in monitoring the queue. Sometimes maybe they only want to allow 2 minutes for questions. So you could potentially see a timer show up on the screen. It's just to help time control the session. And then you have your own volume control right here, and your own user settings at the bottom here. This right here will tell you if you wanted to leave the session, you'd press that button. So don't leave us quite yet. Another thing to point out is that let's say you're in a session and somebody just said something and you're like, I don't want to forget to ask this person, a question, or I'd really like to talk to this person after. You can do a direct message. So who's in here on, well, I guess it doesn't matter. You want to, Angela, right? Okay. So if you hover over Angela, you'll see this little chat bubble right here. It looks like this. And if you click on that, over here on the left-hand side, you're going to see, so the public chat is the full group that we were in. And now Karen on her screen shows AR for Angela, and she can have a direct chat just with Angela. So if somebody's talking about a draft, you have a question, you can direct message them and say, hey, I'd really like to talk to you after. I'm really interested in what you're doing. So that allows you to communicate with somebody directly with just using the chat feature. And then if you want to close this particular chat, you just click on the little orange X right there. And that goes away, but the public chat can stay there. I'm just looking at my notes here to see what else I have. Okay, icons over here in the participant section. So you'll see these little icons right here next to somebody's picture. By the way, if you want your picture to show up there, it's attached to the data tracker account. There's not currently a way for you to add your picture yourself. We either pull it from the data tracker or something called Gravatar. But if you want to add your picture, send a picture of you to support@ietf.org, and we'll be happy to add it for you. But these little icons right here kind of tell you how people have joined. So just an example, like we have,
Sorry.
she's moving it around. So just looking, I'm trying to think. You see these little cell phone pictures right here? That means that you've joined using Meet Echo Lite. And then if you see the little house right here, that means you're using the full client. And then if you just see a little chat bubble here, that means that this person is in the chat room for Zulip.
Actually, oh yeah, okay.
So like Jean, I know Jean, I work with Jean. She's not physically here in the room and she's not on the EODIR session. At least I don't think she is. But she's in the chat room for Zulip and that's why she shows up there.
How about this Anup Tomar? What is that symbol about this?
Anoop?
What is, in what mode it is working?
Yeah, you know what? In all of my test sessions, I haven't seen that, Karen. Do you know what that is?
Is it, Anoop, are you here? Okay, so I believe that one is I'm on the full client, but I'm in the room. Whereas the other one means I'm on the full client, but I'm remote.
Remote. If you hover over that, what does it say? Does it, can you, so there you go.
Over the,
So when Karen, when she hovered over that light client, yep.
yeah, see, I learned something new today.
Yeah, we're constantly learning new things. So another thing to point out is you can see a little blue dot next to Karen's name over there. Just as we mentioned that on badges, we have dots, in the Meet Echo room, you'll see dots too. So Karen is a working group chair for EODIR. So she's got a blue dot up there. If you see a yellow dot or a red dot, you've got IAB or ISG members. So generally in a working group session, you're going to have most likely at least 2 blue dots, which are your chairs. You're most likely going to have an area director who's responsible for that area in the chat room. And usually there's IAB members kind of sprinkled all over in the working group sessions. So that'll be the difference there. And if you hover over the blue dot, I believe it says chair. Can you show that, Karen? Chair. So it'll tell you what it means so you don't have to memorize that right away. Feel free to ask any questions.
All right, so Jim, did you have a question? Oh, yeah, you're still there.
Yeah. Hey Karen, hey Michelle. So the question I have is this: assuming I have a presentation in a working group, and assuming that I had already shared my material PDF or whatever it is with the chairs, and the moment I click ask to share, ask slides, so it will pop up in the pre-uploaded thing, and I can just choose that and start presenting it. Is that correct?
So there is 2 mechanisms. One, the slides have been uploaded in advance,
Correct.
and so you're asking to share slides that have been prearranged,
Right.
and then otherwise you're asking to share your screen, and then it's whatever you're doing on your site. Does that
Correct.
make sense?
Right. So earlier, when I went through some of the materials that is already present in the IETF page, the screen sharing is generally not a recommended thing, and instead you go for the other option as slides, which is where I should have already shared the material with the chair. So it was just showing in a small window where it shows a list of documents that are present, and I just have to click that so that it gets popped up and I can start presenting it. So that was the option that I saw. So just wanted to confirm on this same.
Do you,
Karen, as a chair, with having all the slides preloaded, do the chairs generally control them from your machine?
for in-person meeting, it depends, but yes, the chairs generally control them. In person we have this.
Yeah, but as far as displaying it, it's through the working group. You might.
So I don't remember who it was, but somebody was asking to share slides. Yes, I was wondering if do you have slides that you are prepared to test? You don't, okay. one of the things is that if I am sharing, I have to stop sharing before somebody else can share. So you keep seeing people pop up saying they're asking to share, but unless I stop, they can't start.
And for the case where you're going to be presenting slides, check with the chair. Chairs run their meetings just slightly different. So you'll just want to check to ask them, are you going to be sharing my slides, or do you want me to share my screen? And if you check that ahead of time, then you'll know what you'll be doing.
Sure. Yeah, we'll do that. Thank you.
Of course. We have covered all of the general basics of Meet Echo. Hopefully you have a little better understanding of how the client works, what it looks like, what buttons to use. We're going to just stick in the room for a little bit longer. If you have any questions specifically like on your machine or on your phone that you need help with, we're happy to test things out with you. Otherwise, we hope using Meet Echo this week goes very clearly. Just remember, when you enter the session, you want to either scan the QR code or enter the full client on the agenda, just so that your participation can be counted, that you attended the meeting, and that you can be identified if you have a question. You go to the queue. Other than that, we're just going to stick around here. And so thank you for coming. Hopefully it was helpful, and we'll see you during the week. All right.
Thank you. Bye.
So now that now that we're here in the room, does anybody want to, does anybody need help? Come on up.
So how many more new participants focus sessions today?
Any more what?
Participant sessions.
There's one, it's called Quick Connections. It's in a couple hours. You were supposed to sign up ahead of time.
That's the one that was full.
Yeah, the capacity is full, but if you stop by and the room looks fairly flowing, then you can probably just pop in.
Oh, that's all right. I've got a towel.
Plaza Terrace, is that right? Yeah, Plaza Terrace. Plaza Terrace.
It's the Plaza Terrace room. It's going to be up one level.
You don't know how to do that? Register for individual meetings like the working group session. You don't have to register for every single meeting. So if you look at the agenda here, so on Monday, for example, you've got this IETF session, and then in the next, in session 2, you see there's all these working group sessions. You don't have to register for any of those. You just go to which one you want. The only time that you actually have to do something ahead of time to register is when it says something like pre-registration is required, or it'll tell you, for example, here, open to newcomers, pre-registration is required. I know that on Wednesday, there's like right here, it says working group chairs forum, but otherwise, most all of the sessions. You're not able to see the chat room. You can see the chat room.
because you're in the room. So you use your phone to scan, right?
Okay.
So while you're in the room and you're in the client, you're only going to see a small portion of the echo because you're in the room and the screen is there. If you want to be able to see the screen in front of you, you're going to want to like volume
Mostly
it up
focused. Mostly
to
focused
the
on
full client.
people being up close to the wall. That's what if you want to go further afield, king size. Yeah, well, I mean, if you want straight and then
So this is the full client. So you'll see the slides here, and then you press that right there, and you do the chat window, and you press that right there.
it's very tourist focused, so make sure that they show you all the Australian stuff that's unique to you and so much else. Whereas like Australia Zoo,
Right.
I'll see it all the time, is like pepper African. So most people have seen those if everything else. Australian stuff.
Anyway, they bring us the slides on their own. Part of it's really I think I'm going to try to do a lot. So I don't know where to bring that share. I have a session. And then I have things. No, generally the chairs will not.
I'm actually staying for another conference on Saturday as well.
Yeah, so we'll see. I'll set up some information. All right, thank you. That's a question actually that came up that we're trying to figure out if the chat becomes closed or if it's still open afterwards, and we haven't figured this out yet. But you would at least be amazing. You know, they had a comment and said, why is he doing this in his presentation? And you want him to respond, you would at least see the person's name and maybe look them up in contact. Is this the first time you've used it? You can't share right now because Karen is sharing. I can stop sharing. Welcome. There you go. Absolutely. Have a great week. You too. Hey Karen, can we test something?
I stopped sharing, so I'm trying to figure.
Stop sharing.
I used to, as chair, have to approve sharing slides, but I see the thing where they request it, but I don't ever see where I can approve it. Shiva, can you?
So, screen share is being started. And now I'm finding it very exciting. Okay. You have half of them already. Let's go back. Angela, are you good? Yes. Yes, okay. Okay, thank you. Sure. So, if I go and create my organization, I have to say, if you want to ask a question, yeah, you should. Well, regardless, I mean, you enter the room, you should spell it as lecture because it shows you where it is. Let me show you here in the agenda. Let's see. Yeah, let's see which is the meeting right here. Do you see this little purple right here? That's the full client, and it'll show up on your laptop, just like we saw here. All of those buttons will be the same. But if you're wanting to use, if you're on your phone and you're on the agenda, you can either click this or you can just scan the QR code. We have what happens like question, you have to show your boss that you were at these sessions, then your name is in the attendance records. Thank you. Okay.
I didn't get a page for the information, so I think people,
Yeah, I think so.
because many days ago was for.
I'm sure they fixed it.
I have a question. Once this changed the
What's your other question?
Okay, well, this is my second time, my person was in, great. And there was that time, a lot, I really like, but now I always, I really yes. But I'm quite lost because that time was almost 10 years ago. We had this session particular for the government, the reserve.